There was a train that passed through the town only once a year. It didn't stop for long. It didn't make noise. It didn't announce itself with excitement. It simply arrived, and then it left. Most people in the town didn't care about it anymore, but he did. He had watched that train since he was a boy. Every year, on the same morning, he would stand near the old wooden platform, hands in his pockets, pretending he was just curious. But he wasn't curious. He was imagining a different life. Imagining cities where nobody knew his name. Imagining a version of himself that wasn't afraid. The town he lived in was small, not small in beauty, small in expectation. The same streets, the same cafe, the same conversations repeated every evening. People didn't dream loudly there. They learned early how to shrink their ambitions into something realistic. And somewhere along the way, he had done the same. He wasn't untalented. He wasn't incapable. But he was unsure. And doubt, when repeated long enough, begins to feel like truth. So every year, when the train came, he told himself, next year, I'll be ready. Next year, I'll be braver. Next year, I'll feel different. The train always arrived in silence, and it always left with him standing exactly where he started. There was an old man at the station. No one knew much about him. He wasn't the conductor. He wasn't security. He just sat on the same bench every year, as if he too was waiting for something. The old man noticed him, the way he stared at the train, the way his feet never moved. One year, as the train doors opened and a few passengers stepped down, the old man spoke. "You've been watching that train for a long time." The young man looked surprised. "I'm just thinking," he said. The old man nodded slowly. "Thinking," he repeated. "That can be a very comfortable place to live." The young man didn't respond. The train doors began to close. The familiar tightening in his chest returned. The old man looked at him again. "You know," he said quietly, "the train is not rare." The young man frowned. "It only comes once a year." The old man shook his head. "No, the train comes exactly when it's supposed to." He paused. "Your courage is what comes once a year." The words stayed in the air. The train left. And for the first time, the young man didn't go home feeling disappointed. He went home unsettled. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept replaying the sentence, "Your courage is what comes once a year." He realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't afraid of leaving the town. He was afraid of failing outside it. Here, in this small place, his dreams were harmless, unproven, untested. If he left and failed, the dream would no longer be beautiful. It would be broken. And so, he had protected it by never trying. Another year passed. He worked the same job, walked the same streets, smiled at the same familiar faces. But something inside him was different. The sentence had planted itself in him, and it refused to disappear. When the morning came again, and the air carried that quiet, familiar anticipation, he found himself walking toward the station. His hands were trembling, not violently, just enough to remind him this mattered. The old man was there. Of course he was, sitting on the same bench. "You came back," the old man said. "I never left," the young man replied. The train appeared on the horizon. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just steady, predictable, real. His heart began to race. This was the moment he had rehearsed in his mind for years. But rehearsals never include the weight of reality. The train slowed. The doors opened. There was no music, no sign from the sky, no sudden confidence, only fear. The old man didn't look at him this time. He simply said, "You don't become brave before you step on." The young man swallowed. "You become brave because you step on." The platform felt smaller than ever. His town was behind him, familiar, safe, limiting. The train waited. Not forever, just long enough. He realized something then. Courage was not a feeling. It was a decision made while afraid. And fear was not a stop sign. It was a doorway. He picked up his small bag. It wasn't heavy, but it felt like it carried every excuse he had ever made. He took one step forward, then another. No applause, no cheering, just the sound of his shoes against the wooden platform. He stepped onto the train, and nothing magical happened. The world did not shift. He did not suddenly feel powerful. He felt uncertain, but moving. As the doors closed, he looked through the window. The old man was still on the bench, watching, not smiling, not proud, just calm. As if he had known all along. The train began to move, slowly at first. The town started to shrink. The streets that once felt permanent now looked small, manageable. He realized something unexpected. The train had never been the opportunity. It had always been the test. And the old man had never been waiting for the train. He had been waiting for him. The young man leaned back in his seat. His hands were still shaking. But there was something underneath the fear now. Not confidence, not yet, but self-respect. For the first time in his life, he had not waited to feel ready. He had acted while uncertain, and that changed everything. The train continued forward, and somewhere between the town he left behind and the city he had never seen, a quiet truth settled inside him. The train comes every year, but courage comes when you decide it does. And this time, it did not leave without him.